Welcome to the Beer and Gear podcast with Chris Taylor.
And today I've got a good buddy of mine. We've got James Ford. How you doing, buddy? You all right?
I'm very well, man. All good. Thank you.
How's life in these challenging times for musicians? Are you managing?
Just about. I mean, teaching is going okay. But yeah, I'm doing okay, touch wood. I'm all good.
I was thinking what I found with it really is it's just diversifying what you do and trying to make it fit into a routine where you are literally at home and making the most of what you got. I mean, I've been doing lots of recording. I think you've been doing similar, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I was doing my EP, which we'll talk about as well. But in terms of playing more, I think I was hitting about 6 to 8 hours a day during the first lockdown of playing.
Wow.
So it felt like being 16 again and just playing flat out, which was cool. So yeah, I've improved a little bit.
Let's get into that, because I remember being I was nearly 15 when I started playing, and I literally was the guy that wouldn't go anywhere. And when all your friends are out like underage drinking and going to town and stuff, I was spending my Friday night sat on the side of the bed with a guitar, just trying to get better at it. So
yeah,
where did it? This is a common question that I ask when I do these podcasts. Is like everyone sort of has a moment or a part of their life where they can remember what kicked off the musical buzz for them, when that moment when they thought, I want to play guitar in your case, or I want to play drums, or whatever it is. There's normally
it was in 96. Saw the Who at Hyde Park Corner.
Oh wow.
It was the reunion tour for the Quadrophenia.
Oh wow.
And so that's what got me into it.
When that was it, you
literally
thought, I want to do that.
Yeah, literally. And then so from about 97, 98, started learning. So yeah, I've been playing since 96, really.
Yeah. So when did you get your first guitar, and what was it?
Before or after the plastic toy one? It was a white piccolo Strat from GAC Music in Brighton.
Nice.
And I've still got it. It's like this big. And then it kind of went from that to Gibson's.
Straight to Gibson.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big Who fan and Frank Zappa fan. So the whole SG sort of vibe and Les Paul was mainly my thing.
That's quite a jump.
Yeah.
Piccolo to Gibson. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was
skip the Epiphone bit. Don't need that.
No. Well, I've never liked. Well, not really been a fan of Epiphone. I've always gone for Gibsons, or at the early stages of playing. It was very much a case of just playing every day. So improving and being consistent with the instrument kind of warranted an SG. It wasn't just like a kid, he's got an SG.
Did you take a standard route into it? So I'm self-taught. I've learned from I bought tab books of albums. I learned albums and then figured out that I knew what an A chord was because it was a chord in a certain song I'd learned, rather than knowing that it was an A. So I didn't have any lessons or anything. Did you go the more studious route and take lessons, or did you?
I had lessons. I had lessons for a number of years, and then so I think my teacher at the time was teaching me more how to improv and put like backing tracks on and just go for it. I mean, if we're kind of condensing it down, that was the majority of it. And it wasn't until I was about 15 I was playing live from the age of 8, 9.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. But my thinking back then to what I know now, I'd probably say I would know a pentatonic scale and a key, and then away you would go. It would literally be that. And then it wasn't until a few years later someone saw me play, and they approached my family saying, "Oh, we want to teach your son, but teaching music theory." And it went from that's when I really started to learn. And that's when I got introduced to like stuff like Passion and Warfare and Flying in a Blue Dream, those 2 albums.
Yeah, both classic.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is what you can do to a guitar. So
well, yeah, it opens it up because, like you say, you can get by with probably 90% of pub gigs just having the pentatonic and knowing what key a song's in, and it gets you through jamming. But when your eyes are open to sort of the stuff those 2 guys were doing with like the different modes and what each mode creates in terms of moods and sounds, you know, it really is kind of mind blowing, really, and it takes it out of the sort of 4 on the floor rock context into something completely different, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah. Also, like Blues Saraceno.
Great player.
Yeah. I mean, I think other than the obvious Ibanez route, I think he was the first Ibanez player that I listened to, and I was really like, yeah.
Well,
he can shred it.
Blues is great. I mean, I actually love. This is going to bring out the hair metal child in me, but like I love the Poison album he's on because it's having him in the context of like sort of a pop rock, rootsy pop rock type album, and just he shines so much in that because the solos and the rhythm playing are just so tasteful. The fills are great. I think there's one of his licks off one of the songs on that album from like '96, which is still stuck under my fingers because whenever I'm improv, it comes out somewhere during a gig. You know what I mean? It's just there. And I like watching there's some great clips on YouTube of them doing Rock in Rio, and it's actually a Poison gig, but it's Blues playing there. And he's playing the Yamaha at the time. It's not.
Is that with the Plaid?
No, it was a Samick.
Sort of strike.
It was a Samick. It was a played one, yeah. And literally, he's on fire, man, because he's literally just got putting his own slant on these sort of bubblegum pop rock records. But like he adds, much like Kotzen did when he was in that band, that he added a certain authenticity and a sort of more of a bluesy sort of tinge to it, really. It was quite shreddy, but really sort of
that was his. I'm guessing that was probably his background.
Yeah, it's great. So influence wise, then, so you've named those 3. Anybody else that sort of really got you going?
There's loads. There's tons of players. So you'd have Stevie Ray Vaughan, Frank Zappa, John Sykes, Pete Townsend. I mean, the list is endless. Just Paul Kossoff, just like the different styles of players that I think do shine my playing and just learning their craft and how to put it all together and just have my own style of playing. There's tons of players,
It's like all different ingredients in the pot, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like
it's different styles of players as well. They're not all metal players. They're not all funk or like shredders. So,
well, the metal stuff gets boring to me quite quick. I mean, I know it's really, really in vogue at the moment. Metal again, with the guitar community, it's like with the gent and the metal side and the shredding's coming back and all that. But to me personally, people are going to get like bothered about this, but my ears get tired of it quite quick. You know, there's some of it I'll listen to and think that's really, really cool, and then I'll want to listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan play and hold a note and bend something that just sounds like it hurts to do. You know, and there's a lot. I don't know. A lot of it may be done to the fact that we live in a society now where it's basically, you know, can you impress someone in a minute and smack it on social media? You know,
that's true.
I don't know, but I always try and check out as much things as I can. And obviously, coming from an artist relations background in the past, is trying to be on trend and sort of be in with what's around at the moment, different styles.
It's funny because you find like
personally, I end up going back to what really floats my boat, and that's the bluesier side of the bluesy technical side of the hard rock sort of genre. So I'd rather listen to John Sykes, for example. Great.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I mean, Blue Murder.
Yeah.
I mean, if that band reformed, it would just. I mean, honestly, the playing of that band.
It's
there's just not many bands like it.
No, there's not. It's and it's like we're lucky to have so many sort of guitar heroes. Obviously, people are dying off and getting old now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this, but
but
I don't know. I'm just waiting for there to be like a new wave of players that come out and do the kind of stuff that I like to do. And there is a few of them as well. There is a few coming out now that are really embracing the sort of bluesier side of it. You know, like Sir Jared James Nichols and all that are just kind of getting back to that roots of like, here's a guitar with one pickup and I'm going to bend this damn note. You know, I'm gonna
you'll see those.
Yeah,
You'll see those players as well. What gear they're using. They're not all playing like rack units, and it's all mainly valve amps. And it's funny you're saying about metal music. A lot of players I know now. A friend of mine just bought a Marshall, and he's like, "I've never played a valve amp," and I was like, "Well,
I can see why that happens though, because they've come along at a time where digital tone is so accessible. I mean, if you go back to the days when Meshuggah were touring with Podast racks, you know, and then the kind of the music changes where people want a very hard gated sort of sound, and literally that was easy to achieve. You could literally put a model of a boogie or a 150 in it, hard gate it, and do the really fast percussive chugging, which technically, if you were stuck in front of a loud valve amp, it might scare you. Because you try and do it, and the feedback comes, and you got to deal with it, and you know. But that's part of it, man. It's like I like both. You know, I've got to say I like digital and I like analog, but for different reasons. But we'll get more into that when we do when we do the gear chat. So I had gigging from like an early age of 8 and 9. That must have been like crazy. You know, what kind of venues? Did you have any problems with like places saying
getting in? Yeah. Well, it was so the guitar teacher at the time, he had like a funk tribute band, and I mean they were good. They were like 14-piece band, so like sax, and they had like the horn section and stuff. But we would go on before they would play, and we just do like a few numbers. But it was like a venue that's no longer open anymore. You know, Croydon. It's called the Cartoon Club. It was almost like he can play, as in me, but he has to leave as soon as he finishes because this is like 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it was interesting, and I think having that playing at an early age live in front of people, when you come to do bigger venues or you play in front of anyone, it doesn't phase you.
It gets the stage right out of the way, so it's like normal, basically. Yeah.
And it also gives you that life experience. So if you break a string live, you don't stop playing. You just work out on the fretboard where to go.
Live skills, not life skills.
Yeah.
Live skills. Yeah.
Yeah, I teach that.
That's a great thing to teach them, because those notes are in other places too. You know.
Yeah. It's not just the 12th fret, and it's in that block, and it's the same shape. Very important. Even technical stuff, even stuff like I don't know, if like a kick pedal goes down, what do you do then?
Yeah.
And you've just got to be like, oh, I'm just going to stand here. No, you just play something until the band's ready.
Yes, you do. You don't stop. You know.
No.
And if you make a mistake, do it again, and then people won't think it's a mistake. You meant it.
Well, it's jazz.
We've all smashed out that duff note and gone.
Yeah,
done it
pro
again.
at that.
Done it.
Yeah. So
you just have to attach the blues smell face to it. Then you're that one like.
It's like the picture of like John Mayer, Stevie Ray Vaughan holding the slug.
It's that's exactly
that.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Oh.
So what gear are you currently using that you're into at the moment?
So, well, gear at home in studio capacity would be Helix, so the native. So for all the recording stuff or demos, we'll be using that.
How'd you find it?
Love it, and I thank you as well for helping me work out how to use Helix to a point and native.
That's fine, man. I try and help out.
Super happy
wherever I can. It's like I've been a user of it for three or so years now. So that's live and recording. So anybody has any questions, I'm always like,
I actually had a Line 6 combo when they first come out, but it fitted the purpose. Before I went to Marshall, started using Marshall gear.
They sound great in your bedroom, man. That's the thing.
They do, but a live capacity.
No, they weren't.
The vibration, you'd have to have it on a riser, because the vibration on the floor would move the pots on the circuit.
No way.
And it would make the what's it called, edit mode?
Yeah.
So it would just go straight to clean each time. So you have to keep tap dancing on the floor.
Well, the initial ones, you know, they served a purpose for someone that wanted to get sort of like a big ego tone in their bedroom.
Yeah.
For me, soaked
Yeah.
in reverb, soaked in delay, soaked in distortion and compression, and just
Yeah.
you were Steve Vai on the side of your bed. But to me, the initial ones anyway, when you try to take them live, for example, they get lost. It'd be there when no one else was playing. The sound would be there, but as soon as the drums started and the bass took up some frequency, gone. Yeah,
gone.
But
It looks good.
They have made
Gone.
some strides. I've seen some interesting things on YouTube where you get the guys which literally go to slag it off and review like the new version and actually end up quite liking it.
They end up buying the gear.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So, but
before
the Helix is great. I mean, it's like I use it for everything. Like live, I've got the floorboard. Recording wise, for the whole lockdown, it's been the Stomp. It's handy, fits in the laptop bag, take it anywhere. And, I did try native, but I didn't personally, from lockdown, didn't see the benefit in buying the full license because I've got the hardware.
Yeah.
Because to me, it didn't offer me anything. It's amazing, but it didn't really offer when I'm trying to like look at what I need money wise to buy food and things like that. It didn't. I used the Stomp as an interface, so what was I wasn't really getting anything. It was just a case of not being able to use any interface and have it literally in the box, or just plug into the Stomp as an interface, and it was all there. So yeah, I'm a floor and Stomp guy.
I'm a floor man, but for live and obviously like studio stuff. But with, I don't know, it's just easier for me. Load up Logic, use it as a plugin, done. Yeah. Before using Line 6 and all that gear, I still have it with just like a Marshall Governor 2-pedal, a wah and a tuner, and a DD8 or a DD7 delay from Boss.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So going from that to a Helix was a bit of a jump for me.
Yeah, it can be as simple or as expressively complicated as you make it, really. And you can do some amazing things that I don't touch probably 10% of what it does, but what it does for me is amazing stuff. Like when I use it with a tube amp, for example, I can set up 4-cable method and MIDI. So like if I'm using it with a 5153, for example, I can set up snapshots or a pedal board in front of me where I've got my phaser, my flanger, anything that I need. Wah will be there. When I click it, it turns into a whammy, so that's under one pedal, and I've got my choruses and delays if I need them in the loop, and my gate if I need it, and also it'll change the channels on the amp because it sends MIDI signals. So I can press one button and go from clean to lead with different delay settings, and that to me is just ace. Yeah. Because back in the day with the individual pedals doing that kind of thing, it was like
tap dancing. You'd be doing that.
Got to press 2 or 3 at once, and that's mega cool for me. But like I said, I use it in a basic way. I mean, there's a lot of players who are controlling multiple setups, sending signals to acoustic amps and to electric amps and one to the PA and all this and all that. But I still very much treat it as either I'm going direct, which I do a lot, which I have my whole modelled rig sent to the which goes through the PA with the backing tracks, or I have front and back end of an amp and switching programmed into it, and basically controlling the actual amp situation, which is cool. I mean, I am going to do a gig with the Stomp just for when I can, just because I'd love to just go out and I can't. There is a way to work it with Snapshots to work with the Bad Medicine gig that I do, but because we use multiple tunings for the set, I mean, most of it's in E flat, some of it's in D. Now I synthetically detune, which is great because I just press the simple pitch and go down half a step, and same guitar, just change the tuning. Brilliant. Or if we've got different versions of a certain song where the singer's kind of feeling it a bit that night, I can literally go, okay, play the lower one, and I'll just press the button and detune it down. But that takes up an extra button that I'd need on the Stomp. There is a clever way to do it, but if I was going to a jam night, for example, I'd literally just take the little Stomp and go clean, rhythm, lead, straight in. And It'd be great to do that. But you use tube amps too, don't you? You're a big Marshall fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't think I'll use a brand of amp personally.
You've got an older 800, haven't you, from the Gold?
Yeah, it's a late 80s 800 JCM 100 watt.
Wow.
And it's the best amp. I mean,
How loud?
Loud. I mean, I had it on about 2, and it'd be the loudest thing.
Do you boost it with anything?
Well, just using the Helix distortions,
Mm-hmm.
just that sort of stuff. But in terms of to get more control, just be using the volume pots on the guitar.
Yeah.
And then switch into like a lead tone to kind of just go full on.
Yeah.
Because that way you've got all that headroom.
Well, a lot of people
with the 800s.
With the 800s, will stick a tube screamer in front of it.
Yeah.
But just for a boost, take the gain off, put the level up, just to give you a little bit push that first tube with a little bit more grunt. So that's only really to make them tighter, I guess, for modern sort of metal. But if you're in the sort of John Sykes realm and all that, I mean, you know as well as me that 1987 was recorded on a JSON 800 combo.
It was modded. Yeah, which I found out recently. It was a modded 800.
Do you know what else that amp was used for?
Go on.
That amp was in the studio back when Zakk Wylde was using Lee Jackson preamps and did the album. Was it No Rest for the Wicked? The first Aussie album with Zakk Wylde in like 1988 with Crazy Babies and all that kind of stuff on it. They couldn't get the sound right in the studio, and it is online. It's on a Zakk interview.
Yeah.
And literally that modded combo that was recorded in 1987 on was actually in that studio, and Zakk basically ended up using that for that record, and that's what got him into sort of the JSON 800 sound, which he still is with now. I know his amps are wild audio, but let's be honest, they're pretty much JSON 800s.
Yeah.
You know, but that amp, the same amp from 1987 was used on the Aussie album. Zakk got it, and that was the sound for the album. You know,
super cool.
So it's got some super sauce
yeah.
that has, you know. So,
well, it's funny, people, unless you've played them, you don't truly know the experience until you've actually physically play one.
Which kids need to do, man. I mean, like we said there's a generation gap where people are used to easily accessible free plugins.
I mean, I switch off the app as soon as I see a free plugin download, and then everyone jumps on it, and it's it's amazing. But it's not.
But do you also get this as well? That like certain companies, which are great at what they do, will release a free amp synth or a free plugin to try whatever, and they're great. But every guitar player tends to sound the same after a bit. People are using the same sounds, the same models, the same profiles with chemical stuff, and I'm really struggling to find people that have got like an individual tone now. Like back in the day, you could hear a player and go, I know who that is by the first 2 notes, or a chord by the way they attacked it and their sound. It's like Eddie Van Halen had a different sound to Randy Rhoads, who had a different sound to Tony Iommi, or a different sound to, you know, and it was they all had their own sort of things.
Blueprint, signature tone.
Correct. It's like when you hear Zakk Wylde, you know you're going to hear like a pushed Marshall with some chorus on it. And that's Zakk, and it sounds great, you know. It's but now it's like everybody's using the same plugin, and I don't know.
What is it? It's almost like I need to be playing this gear. That's what it feels like until the next product comes out.
I think you're right there. It's like Emperor's New Clothes sometimes. I do see it a lot. This is the best thing ever. Next week, no, this is the best thing ever. It's like I just find it. Just find what you like. With me, it's like find something you like and explore every possibility of it. You know, there's something brilliant about a single channel master volume head.
Yeah,
and using your volume knob. You know, there's something pure about that. Just a few knobs and being able to know exactly what each one does and how to get your sound with it.
Yeah.
Rather than literally just finding the next best thing that you don't even know if it's going to suit your playing or what. I think you've really got to explore the possibilities of what you've got before you think about the next thing.
Definitely.
Personally, it's like I used a 5150 for years, a 90s one, and it just amazed me how many people just didn't get the way that amp worked, because they'd say, well, it's too fizzy when I'm playing riffs. Okay, so you look at it and you go, well, you're on the red channel. Well, yeah, that's the distortion channel, isn't it? It's like, Well, no, if you look at it, the channels aren't labelled clean and distortion. They're labelled rhythm and lead. Okay.
Yeah.
And the rhythm's got a crunch button on it. So if you want it particularly clean, you take the crunch button off. So it's never, it wasn't ever a good clean because it wasn't supposed to be. You weren't buying it for clean. So when you show them and go, well, use rhythm for your rhythms and use lead for your lead, because you're trying to play riffs through the lead channel, which is actually voiced with shit tons of gain for soloing with sustain. But the rhythm channel is brutal when you use it for rhythm.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. But because you know what I mean? It was just the mindset.
Yeah.
Well, it's got. I need gain, so I need to be on red channel. It's like, well, it wasn't designed to play rhythm on.
Yeah. Well, that's why I used.
You know, unless you're
using the
you know,
using the JCM, the benefit of having that governor pedal just there, when that was the answer, just that to instantly just flatten.
Yeah.
Well, anyone listening.
Yeah.
Because it would just get that extra push.
Flatten small buildings.
Yeah.
But that's like we said before. There is a whole generation of players that maybe aren't learning that skill of being able to control a proper tube amp at gig volume because they never had to. They never had to.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe they're right. Because in the future, are people going to be out renting loads of Marshall stacks to do a gig when they can just take their rig on a USB stick? And plug it into a rented camper and do a gig. I don't know. I think it will come back. I think that will be that vintage. Get the Marshall Origin amps. They're pretty cool. Yeah, I've looked those up. They're pretty sweet. Yeah.
They do. They're built for the purpose of live playing. Yeah. So I do think genuine, like if I say genuine, they're all real, but proper valve amps, like the big Marshall stacks or whatever brand stacks you want to use. I think it will come back.
What do you think?
To a certain degree. I mean,
no, I think
the way technology advances.
I think what you're seeing more of is practical live as well. You're seeing brands doing lower wattage tube amps, so you can get the power amp working at a lower volume. Which is great. I mean, you look at, so we mentioned Jared James Nichols earlier. I mean, his amp's like 20 or 40 watt tube, isn't it?
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, it's not particularly loud. Because you can literally crank that and get the power tubes cooking in a club, which is what he's doing. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Which is what there's no good him going into a smaller venue with a 100-watt head and having it on 2. For the style that he does, because it literally is power amp saturation. That's power amp saturation that that's sustained. You know. Yeah. That's the punch. So yeah, I think there'll always be a place for that stuff. I think that the companies will just have to roll with it and move with it and put features in. You're starting to see amps now with built-in speaker sims, IR loaders. You're looking at the 2 notes, the boogie stuff with the CAD clones, and the rev stuff with the 2 notes bits involved, which really is really clever, because that's like, you know, take your tube amp out, send an IR to the front of house, sorted. You know, I still want to get the 2 note we were talking about. That would be definitely, I can literally use that. Yeah, so you asked about how to record your tube amp properly. Yeah, and I was like, again, because 2 notes, Captor. Yeah, Captor X. So that'd be a cool addition to have. Because even with my opinion, even having like Helix Marshall sound, it's not the same as the genuine article of the real Marshall. You should probably know that. There's a certain amount of trouser flappage involved in using a head and a cab, which you can't get unless you have a really, really loud powered monitor behind you, if you know what I mean. It's like, I mean, it's like I've done full band gigs with just Helix, and it's really funny because you don't expect. I get by because I have a monitor in front of me blasting me, and also the drummer likes to have me really, really loud. So we'll have like a drum monitor blasting him, and it feels like it's behind me, but when I turn around to rock out and there's nothing there, I'm like, oh. Yeah. I can't climb up it and jump off it, you know what I mean? No. You just tilt forward and smash the headstock open. You got it. Yeah. Other gear I've used. So there was like a small period I used Amp 1. All right. You know, the blue guitar? Yeah. They're really good. Again, 100 watt. I've been to some demos of Thomas doing that. He's a good guy. You've got probably the best thing I liked about the Amp 1s was the built-in noise gate. I think, well, other than
keep mentioning the word Helix and Line 6. There's not enough companies that have that option.
There's one in the Marshall Satriani. Did you not know that?
No, I didn't.
And there's also a gate built into the Marshall Kerry King, which is a modded 800 with KTA.
Didn't know that.
I'm not sure they still make it. But
Thank you, Chris.
There's a gate in that.
I'll be looking at reverb later.
Yeah. Well, I've got a few things to list on there soon, actually. But yeah, that does exist. And apparently the Satriani one's supposed to be really, really good.
It's like a modded, it's like a 2000, no?
No, the Satriani ones are modded JVM.
That's it, JVM.
But then again, you should have a channel on there which is very much like your 800 plus one that's like a Plexi, and it's a 4-channel amp, isn't it? With
yeah.
And I think it's got a MIDI switching too, so you could put your Helix into it, and then you could get. It's all there then, isn't it? It's like you've got your channel switching, you've got your pedals in front and behind, and all that kind of stuff with it. But yeah, that's got a gate. That's got a gate built into it.
That's pretty cool.
So about
I feel like I've learned something here today just by knowing that.
I'm a fountain of guitar bump and crap, really, that just sticks in there from reading too many magazines and that kind of thing. But what about guitars then? What are you rocking at the moment?
Well, I'll show you what I've got next to me, which is the new Ibanez.
It's got the Pia.
Yeah, absolutely love it.
Look at that.
Fantastic guitar, probably one of the best Ibanez guitars I've ever played.
How different do you find it to Gem?
There's more weight.
Yeah.
I find it's weird. I mean, if you're not a Gem fan or an Ibanez fan, it's almost like they've taken ideas from different companies, like the goodness of like the weight of a Fender Strat. It feels like a late 90s Fender, so it's got that good sustain, like the natural for that good natural sustain when the amps it's not plugged in.
I say the edges are like more rounded as well, aren't they? And
yeah, so it's a lot.
I love the backplate with the magnet.
The magnet.
That's class.
Yeah,
that's just brilliant.
No, it's great. And then the neck in itself, it's like for me anyway, it's like a Les Paul Custom.
Oh right, okay.
It's just with it's just so smooth, and I just find it so easy to play.
And you went for the green, man.
Yeah, well, that's the best color out of the 3 options. I think.
What do you think of the DiMarzio's in that? Because you're a DiMarzio guy, aren't you?
I am indeed. I'm a DiMarzio artist, and I absolutely love them. I mean, that's probably the selling point of that guitar. Well, you could easily say, well, why don't you just get the pickups? But obviously those pickups are designed ultimately for that guitar.
They are, yeah. It's like the ones on this and on this. Those were designed specifically to go with that guitar.
Yeah.
That's
so. They're Utopia pickups, obviously the Steve Vai models. I played them last year's NAMM on the DiMarzio booth. They had a prototype of the Gem, or the Pia, sorry.
Yeah.
And it just sounded great. I mean, it was like such a sound where you could have like that warm blues tone, but still shred with like the clarity of the notes you could hit.
Right.
Just fantastic. Really well made pickups.
I've got Evos in one of my Ibanez.
Yeah.
And I like them, but they're quite hot.
So
they feel quite hot and spiky to me, and they sound great. You just have to dial it back a little bit on the amp, but
these are more warm than the Evos.
Right.
So you can get like a really good. I mean, honestly, I'll send you some stuff later after this. Of just that through something pre-recorded that I'm working on, and you'll be able to hear the sound. I mean, even on the, it's got like a high pass filter.
Yeah.
Even that sounds really cool. But
yeah, so you can roll the volume down and keep the top end.
Yeah. But other than that, I'm using my 7-string universe. So I'm a big 7-string fan.
Yeah, that's
just for that whole
UV77, the P wasn't the premium one.
Yeah, it's the premium.
Great.
Which is a great guitar.
Again, I was there when those came out. They're just so good. For
well.
Yeah, so good for the money. Yeah. Another one of my buddies had one as well and used it extensively gigging. Stephen Platt, he loved it.
Yeah. Oh, great player.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good player.
I was chatting to him about bedding last night at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we chatted about random stuff.
Wow.
He's going to come on soon. He's literally just waiting because he's through different quarantine and he's been staying at different places and he's basically making his room look really, really cool because he wants all his guitars there and everything. Yeah. So it's like, so he's going to come on soon as well. You've also got a Les Paul custom, haven't you?
Yes, it's an 81. It's an 81 custom. I kind of weird how I got that guitar. I was flicking through Guitar's website at NAMM, as you do at breakfast, and Alice Cooper is having breakfast at 10 chairs away from me. Yeah. And I just called up Guitar Glasgow. Spoke to Kieran Johnson, and a guitarist.
Right.
Unbelievable player. I was like, right, I need you to send that to London and I will get that when I'm back. Went to the Epsom store, played it. I was like, right, that's it. Again, ebony fretboard, original pickups with the Tim Shaw pickups. It just sounds great. And then I've got a Les Paul Classic, which I've put DiMarzio's in. So I've got like an X2N in the bridge, and then a PAF 36 anniversary.
The anniversary ones, yeah,
they're great.
They are great because
I get a lot of people.
You have to be able to play to use them.
Well, I'm one of the lucky ones, I guess. The kind of getting by with that combination. A lot of people on like social media, like Facebook pages, like, why have you got that mixed? It's because of how versatile each pickup is. And obviously being in Dorsey with DiMarzio, I can speak to the tech team, and I pretty much said, right, I want a guitar that's flat out, high output, which still got that classic rock tone, and just want to sound different than just, oh, it's a Les Paul, it's got that Les Paul sound. So they arrived, and it's just a very, very loud Les Paul now, but still got loads of control on the
DiMarzio
sound.
DiMarzio's are great, and you got that level of, where you can speak to them and they will spec you and put you in the right direction. And there's something for everyone in that product range.
I have a Fender Strat.
All right,
Chris, I've got a Fender Strat with the 98 Fender Strat, American, and that's got some DiMarzio's in. It's got like which I'll show you some photos if you can somehow put it in the left of the screen.
If you send them, I'll see what how much I can get out of Windows Movie Maker.
But it's like it's got a stacked pickup in the bridge.
Yeah.
Which is like a red plate with silver bars on, and that just sounds killer. I mean, it sounds like a Les Paul, which is funny because it's Well, I'll be using that live.
I want to try and get my hands on at some point when we're, I'm able to go out there and get back playing and earn some proper money again. I want to get a set for maybe this one. I mean, between two. I was speaking to Billy Gray recently from Fozzy, and he really spoke up about the Pariah pickups. I'm quite interested in trying the Pound Cake and the Pasadena series of those. But also I want to try the DiMarzio AT1 in the bridge of that one. Because it's very, very close spec to the sort of the original 1991 sort of EBH.
Well, they've just released the interviews with Larry DiMarzio and Van Halen.
It's great, isn't it? Going through all what the broken JB, where it came from modeling. They tried to match the sound of a broken JB in the 5150 guitar, and it was like that was the sound. It was broken.
Yeah.
It's great, but those pickups are so sought after, and you can't get them. They won't sell the pickups off the Music Man EVH or the Access. They come on those guitars, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know? And there's a lot of other people trying to sort of get to that sound, because the Wolfgang ones were separately done by Steve and by Jim DeCola at Peavey, who's now at Gibson. He's the guy that does the great videos at Gibson and showing you how to set up a guitar. Have you seen those? It's like they're great. They've started putting the series out, and it's like him, Master Luthier, designer of the Wolfgang and all that kind of stuff, telling you how to set up a Floyd Rose and how.
That's really cool.
But kids need to know this, you know. How to do your truss rod and that. It's good. It's good. But he's doing it. But those pickups were designed afterwards. But the original Music Man ones, I mean, the Damasios, they're rare. Rocking horse shit, man.
Yeah.
Because people don't take them out and change them. You know, they know that they're exclusive. So.
No.
But yeah, I've got a Tone Zone as well in one of the guitars, and the Tone Zone sounds great. But there's something missing from it, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the guitar that it's in. It's probably down to the body. It's probably down to the bodywood.
Yeah.
I could probably take it out and put it into the guitar, and it would sound amazing. It's probably just in the wrong guitar, you know. Because is like everything. No, it's got to match with what it's going in. You know, it will sound.
Yeah.
Unless it's an EMG, because you can put that on a plank. It sound the same anyway.
Yeah.
So what's coming up in the future then? Because we've had some cool news recently that you've announced.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
So I'm recording an EP instrumental. So it's a 5-track EP, and it has which I briefly announced. What's today? So I think on the weekend I mentioned Doug Wimbish from Living Colour.
That's huge.
Yeah. He's going to be playing bass on the tracks, which he sent me some stuff already, and it sounds great. I mean, the sound, the runs, everything. I think there's a particular track which, as the track progresses, the bass lines get more and more and more ridiculous.
Right.
When he sent me back the files, I was laughing, just how ridiculous it's. Oh yeah. And then I've got the drumming. I have Brian Tichy.
Oh wow, cool.
So Whitesnake Dio.
Billy Idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, unbelievable drum fills. And it's going to sound big. It's a very big. It's taken me a while to write it, obviously, but everything from start to finish was written by me. So, to describe it, again, it's a mixture of like blues, very proggy. Not to the point where it's like, yes, it's not prog. And there's one or two tracks which are quite shreddy as well, which are quite heavy. And I think people will like it. I mean, there's one track called Time, which would be the first track on it, which starts off quite atmospheric, and it has a slide guitar. And then there's just like a 4 count in, and then it's just straight off.
When's the release date, or tentatively?
I don't have a release date. Hopefully like September. I mean, I wanted to do it last year, but obviously COVID just stopped everything.
Decimated everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it gave me time to rewrite and work on the guitar parts, because they're quite intricate as well. So things like working on the guitar tone, actually playing it to a live capacity. So what I would play on the record, you would hear live.
Yeah.
I know, like Frank Zappa, what he recorded wasn't necessarily what you played live each time. So there's an element of that in some of the phrasing in one or two of the tracks. But yeah, I'm excited to release it. I mean, people are interested, so I don't know why, but they just like the playing, I guess. I mean,
great.
I'm really happy with how it's sounding at the moment, and it's not mixed.
No.
How I want it. So I think once the lockdown, once we're out of that, that's when I'll start putting the guitars down, go into studio and actually play through the Marshall rig. And I mean, it's gonna be cool. I'll be very proud of it when it's ready.
That sounds amazing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky. I mean, it's interesting how I met Doug. I did a guitar event for Ibanez back in 2017, might have been, and playing up in Newcastle, and I'm playing away, and in comes Doug Wimbish. I recognise him from somewhere and I can't place it.
Living Colour playing Newcastle that night or something.
Yeah. And he just like really enjoyed my playing. And he was like, well, what are you doing later? I was like, well, I'm going home tomorrow, so I'll just be at the hotel. He's like, well, why don't you come see us play? I'll put you on the guest list. So that was great. Never seen them before. And I mean, they're a great band. Unbelievable
band. You got to see Vernon Reid shredding away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Will Calhoun on drums. It's like it's pretty much like a super group, really. It always was. It was all these cool sort of studio cats just out there rocking it.
His bass drum broke the drum skin, and I think Vernon and Doug were just trading solos for about 10 minutes. I mean, whilst the drum tech was fixing
there's a lesson.
The head. Yeah, that was like a free guitar lesson.
Did you watch speaking of Living Colour, did you watch the Steve Vai interview on Music Is Win that came out like yesterday? He's doing a gig with Living Colour. He's playing guitar.
Oh, yes.
Rock in Rio, isn't it? For
the Brazil gig. Yeah, no, I saw that announced. That'd be great to go to, obviously. It's nowhere near me, but it'd be great to watch it somehow.
They normally do a live stream of it, to be honest.
Great.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to.
Don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. to watch watching the boxing.
Just stay up. Do what I did last night and drink too much coffee and then wonder why you're still awake at 6.
But more on Doug, how that sort of relationship grew and grew. I went to my first NAMM a couple of years back, and as you do, you get lost trying to look for booths. And he was there with his wife, and he instantly recognised me. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then the year after, I joined Rotor Sound Strings. So I'm now using the newest range of Ultramag.
All right, okay.
So these are great. I mean, I was going in between Ernie Ball strings and D'Addario.
I did the same.
But the thing is with me, the Ernie Balls are good, but I would break them. And I would just go through them like whatever, like maybe a pack a week or every 2 weeks.
Gets expensive. Yeah.
It does. And then the MYXLs, the D'Addarios, I found that they didn't last as long.
All right, okay. Yeah.
So I know that's their premium string, but for me, I don't know, maybe my hands are just acidic and they just burn through string. But the Rotor Sound Ultramags, I found that they can handle the punishment that I give them. So
Buy British.
Of course. And
the cool thing which I like as well is that, if you get a set of strings, you get a free toppy, which is great. Yeah.
Proof.
Yeah, so and that's cool because that's
yeah.
I remember them doing that years ago, but I also remember Guitar World coming out and like every issue there'd be a free Ernie Ball 9 on the front, which was all really handy because I was like, I'll keep that in case if I want to break mine.
If you play 9s, I mean, they might have if they did a 10 gauge edition, it'd be pretty time consuming to get the edition.
I play 9s on everything that's Strat scale. So and 10s on everything that's like less than that. So Les Paul and PRSs are generally with 10s on. Well, it depends. If the single cut PRSs, 10s, but 9s on the sort of custom 24 shape.
Yeah.
So I kind of go between the two. I've got a couple of guitars with 11s on them, but they're in drop. One's in drop B and one's in drop C. So
I play, other than the Floyd Rose guitars, like they're all in 10s, but the SG, the Les Pauls, and the Strat, they're all in 11s. So if you ever see videos where I'm going 100 miles an hour. They are 11s.
That's scary, man. Oof. Why make it hard on yourself?
Well, for me, it's the belief of finding and fighting for that tone.
Yeah,
I'm much more in my comfort zone when I want to get a particular note. Whereas if I'm playing 9s and I bend too high,
yeah,
I can either knock the tuning out, or it just sounds like, what's he doing? Like he's just started playing.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I get like my gigging guitars have got Floyds on, and they're 9s, but down half a step, so they're proper slinky, you know.
Yeah.
But it works for that, you know. It's great, but I don't know. I guess I'm a worst when it comes to strings, but there's people that are using 8s and 7s now. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, as it legato sort of players tend to use lighter gauge strings.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be good to see it on 11 gauge. I mean, that'd be something.
I'd like to do the thing, maybe do the Stevie Ray Vaughan experiment and put 13s on a Strat and then play it. Oh.
Well, I used to play 12s when I got into that sort of Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
Discovering that sort of live in Austin City Limits.
Did you notice that you sounded fatter or not?
To a point where I was playing an E flat, but it was more slight more output in a sense that the tone was there. And I used to use like a Seymour Duncan hot rail. This is before I joined DiMarzio.
Yeah.
And that for 11s and 12s was really good. But the one thing, it was killing my hands and it was killing the neck.
Right.
Because the guitar was like 15 years old, 20 years old by that point, and it was, yeah. And it was before I just got into that whole Vi thing. So I wanted my bridge to be like that.
Right.
So I could do like a whole step pull up on a Fender Strat.
Right. Yeah.
Using 11s or 12s at the time. Yeah.
So the spring tension against string tension was crazy there.
yeah. I actually put more springs in to kind of compensate the bridge just coming off.
Your neck must have just been crying the whole time.
Good.
Yeah, good. It's got 11s on it, and it's got 5 springs on it, and it's literally going.
Yeah. But now it's got 11s, and it's happily, you know, resting.
It's happily settled.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about putting 9s on the Les Paul next, just to see what it felt like. But I just think it actually probably will feel like that one with an E flat.
Yeah.
So it might be right. But I need to upgrade the tuners on that one. They've started to get to a point where the G's a little bit iffy and things like that. But it's all stock apart from the EMGs. I've got the original pickups, and I was toying with the idea of putting the original pickups back into it because why not? You know.
What are they? That sort of unplated sort of humbucker, so you can see the poles.
No, they were the gold covered one.
Okay.
Ones that went it. Yeah, and it looked stunning. But literally, I was in a Zach Wild tip, so I was like, "Oh, I need to get some EMGs, some Les Paul, and put them in it." And it does sound great. It does.
Yeah.
It really does sound great and play great. I mean, that Les Paul there. When I bought this from a store in Telford. It's starting to age now because I don't know if you see the lines on it, but that's just natural. The lacquer's just starting to wear, and you can feel it. I went with, it was back in the day, it was something, what was it called? Premium Bonds or Pools or something like that. And the parents at the time had a bit of a windfall on it. Nothing massive, but it was like, okay, we're gonna. So I was taking guitar seriously then, and it was like, okay, we're gonna look for a Gibson or a Les Paul. This is your budget, and my budget was like £800 or something like that, which is huge. When I was 15, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But I think they'd seen that I was progressing, so it wasn't just a fad, because I was a tennis player before. For like 6 years before that, I was playing county level tennis and nearly going pro with it.
Now that,
but the
I want to know more about that.
Oh right, the coaching fees were too crazy because at that point there was no grants or anything. It was like, okay, you've reached this level now. Do you want to carry on? Okay, well, can we have £30,000 a year training fees, please?
Blimey.
But so I took guitar up instead. So we were doing we went to this store, and they'd got like a load of Epiphones, some Les Paul standards, Les Paul customs. And this was 1995, so the Les Paul standard was slightly above budget, but I think they would have gone to it. I think my dad would have actually gone, if it was the right guitar, would have gone, okay, I'll put the extra £100 in or whatever, or extra £200. I ended up playing like 12 Les Pauls that day.
Nice.
And this is the one that came home for no other reason that I connected with it. I didn't go looking for a black one. I didn't go. I didn't go looking for a studio with no binding or anything. That was just mahogany. But this one I connected with. It felt right. It played like my kind of guitar, and that's the one I came with. And that's the only reason it was this. And my dad even got some money knocked off it because there was a slight mark in the back. There's loads in the back now, belt rash and everything. But there was a slight mark in the paint on the back, and he got another 50 quid knocked off it. I think this guitar with the gig bag was 550 quid. So there was some changes in pedals and stuff afterwards, from the money. But the only reason, like I said, was I tried them and I connected with that one. I had no interest in whether it was sunburst, whether it was red, whether it was silver, whatever color it was. This was just the one that felt right, and it still does now. I track with it all the time. It just, I don't know, solid. There's pictures of me holding it up in the hair with one hand, which I wouldn't recommend. But
no,
but yeah, I might take it back to the original pickups.
I mean, gold would suit it.
Yeah, they did used to look.
It'd bring up the body more.
I think what it was is, to me, that for some reason they started to sound woolly to my ears at some point. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I was just drinking too much at the time, but they weren't giving me something that I wanted, and it wasn't giving me enough edge. And I think I was so used to the pickups in this, which are very full-bodied and but very cutting at the same time, that it just wasn't quite.
But it's how it's almost like how the players, the ear and their taste changes.
Yeah.
As they play, like the Les Paul Classic, which I'll send you the before and after photos.
Yeah.
The pickups that I had, which were stock pickups, they started to fade, and I don't know why. It was like a very low output.
This is kind of what I mean. It was getting that. It was kind of like they weren't.
They lost their
yeah.
So with the 36 putting in the X2N, I mean, I nearly sold the guitar for a 7-string, and I'm very glad I didn't.
No.
Because classics are now, I think they're retailing at 14.
Yeah.
1400. So this was like 900 at the time.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
that's the sad thing, really, because I think at the moment I was taking this in the chat with Billy last night that there's no better time now for players to be a player, because there's so much quality gear around that for mid-range prices that would have been what the spec of it is like what we class of 10 years, 15 years ago as being pro, as being like top range, in terms of spec. But the difference is like, you can't buy a Les Paul Studio for 500 quid now.
No.
If you're in that realm, you are firmly Epiphone.
Yeah.
Or another brand that does a similar thing. But if you do want that Gibson, you got to chuck the money down.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, it was literally like 95, 96. You could get one for 600 quid, and it would be a Gibson.
And that would come with the hard case. That would come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky. Because mine's from a mid-90s good year. It was when there wasn't so many. I don't know if there's, you all hear about the QC issues and that, but I didn't have a problem with that. That was, I will say, every single one played different in the shop, but that was probably down to the store not setting them up. They were probably straight put on the shelf straight from the factory.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing. It's you are, if you're going to spend 500-600 quid, you can get a very, very good Epiphone, but you still got to took the money in for the Gibson, haven't you? And I know what you're saying. I think Epiphone do some cool stuff. I haven't got an Epiphone guitar. They haven't really. To me, it was always I wanted that Gibson headstock. I wanted that's
yeah.
I was getting.
Well, it's like it's like that iconic look.
Yeah. The only Epiphone instrument I've got, which is very, very good, it's my bass. I've got the Nicky 6 Blackbird bass, which I use for recording, which is great.
I mean, if you're using it for a demo point of view, I can understand why you'd have it.
Yeah.
Or from a songwriting purpose, because then you could just translate it to any guitar. But it's almost like that's. Would you have a Squire, or would you have a Fender?
You see, I'm getting onto this bit next, Steve, because I shouldn't see it differently, but maybe it's because I've never owned an Epiphone Les Paul or SG or something, you know.
Yeah.
I've like Gibsons, but my journey with Fenders, I've got a couple of Fenders, but most of the Fender instruments that I have are Squires that I've modded because I love modding Squires. I've got it's an Affinity Telecaster. It cost me next to nothing. I did get it on a deal as well. I won't mention where from, but I did get a little bit of a sneaky trade discount from it on it. So it didn't really cost much. I got a set of DiMarzio's, basically the Kotzen set, which was the Chopper T and the Twang King.
Yeah.
Put it in it. Did my normal setup because obviously you know that I do guitar setups and repairs for people as well. So crowned all the frets, polished the frets, oiled the neck, sanded the neck, oiled the neck to where I like it. It was just a great piece of wood anyway. Upgraded the tuners, upgraded the bridge to a better quality 6-saddle one, and that guitar's a beast. I've got Squire Strats. I've got a Squire Strat 50th anniversary of Fender one from '95, and that thing is heavy as a Fender, and it's Korean, but it's great. And I've always loved taking a Squire to a gig and someone assuming it was a Fender by the way it sounded. I've done stuff to it, but I love it when it's like, no, it's a Squire, mate. It's an Affinity. You can go and buy one then. From your
that would be. I'm guessing that's got a very good sustain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably the body and neck that is kind of what brings out the quality of it.
Yeah, and they make some great stuff. I mean, I actually purchased a Squire Affinity Strat in Sunburst with the 70s headstock for 159 quid from a music store in that's not there anymore in Merry Hill, it's a big shopping centre. I get into shopping centre in the Midlands, and they used to have a music store in there which had a Fender dealership, and literally I bought that, and it's one of my favourite Strats, even though it's the basic one. I spent a few hours making it how I'd want it to be, but just by walking through that store and touching the back of the neck, and it just felt right. I was like, oh, hang on, okay, I'm going to buy a beginner's guitar here and do some work on it, because I reckon this is a great piece of wood and a great neck, and it is. It's the one that I pick up to write things on. It's whether it's at the moment, but it's next to the bed sometimes. I look when I write on it because it's so comfortable. But that's 159 quid guitar. So I've never been a Fender snob, even though I love Fender style instruments.
Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah.
Well, it's that natural. It's like the it's definitely true. You have to, when you're going to buy the guitar, you have to feel the neck.
Yeah, it's the most important bit.
Because it's but not many people know that. They look at it, oh look, it looks great, or it's got that pickup, or it's got this guy's playing it, or she's playing it.
It doesn't feel right. It's not right.
No, no. Like I've played some Gibson Customs, new ones, and for me, it's just not. Just doesn't sit right in my hand.
It's got that's the bit that spends most of contact with the actual guitar. The neck's got to be right. You know, I like a certain type of neck. You know, I don't like anything too chunky. Depends. And the PRS Tremonti is a chunky neck, but for what you play on that, it kind of works for it. If you know what I mean, it's like you know, it's great. But I do kind of like a modern C-shaped sort of Fender neck.
Yeah.
I love Ibanez Wizard necks and everything, but I'm an over-the-top thumb player, and sometimes they're too.
See, I am.
They don't rock for me. I'm not really that guy. I play G notes with my thumb and things like that. You know, it's like
because I've kind of always, I don't know, my style changes all the time, but that sort of playing.
I do that, all the time.
I mean, it's obviously it's not plugged in, but that double harmonic that. That sort of stuff. But even this Pia, it's got that natural sustain.
Yeah.
And that's what sold it for me to have it.
Yeah. And
because of my blues background
that's a good
growing up.
Chunk of change to invest in a guitar as well.
More than a tenner.
Yeah, more than a tenner. Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what $18 in the exchange rate at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait to play this live.
No.
And record of it.
Well, we're going to get to that soon, man. I think we've got an idea now. We're going to come to the end of it. We're going to be able to get out there. You'll be able to get your EP out.
Yeah.
Get out there promoting it as well, doing some shows,
Yeah.
which would be great.
So that'd be really cool. I mean, I'm really excited to play it as well as just release it. I mean, I've had it. There's a guy that I'm working with who's worked with like Last in Line and Orange Goblin. He's a great sound guy. But yeah, I'm just really happy to have Doug and Brian playing on it. There is one guy who I'm tempted to play keys on it, but I think that might be like, sorry?
Derek Sherinian.
Possibly, but
Stevie Wonder.
I mean, he didn't pick his phone up when I tried to call him. He didn't read my WhatsApp, but
couldn't find it.
But oh wow. But yeah, I think it'd be a bit of an overkill to have any more sort of A-list players, or the elite, is what I like to call them, because then it would just be like, well, you're just paying them to do it, sort of thing. Which in theory, anyone can do that if they want to spend that for the quality. But
yeah,
it's the history that I have of obviously like knowing Doug for a while, and he said at the time he said, I'll always help you out with what you need. So, and he's a genuinely nice guy, like, and his playing's great.
Yeah,
it's not this I don't know you, here's a session, see you later sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's a genuine thing I have with anyone that I play with. I kind of you've got to have that good vibe.
Yeah, you do.
Sort of thing.
You do. And also they'll be really cool with you when you release it in terms of like cross promotion and stuff as well, because they won't see it as just a job. Yeah, I did that session. Yeah. You know.
Right.
And
it was cool.
Speaking of this, I love the way the session guys work, man. I mean, do you ever look into some of the session like drummers and stuff and see what their resume is, what they do? You carry on. I'll explain, because I've done some drum clinic talk before we finish it off, and some of the stories I can tell you about the work they're doing in between the actual clinic tour and their schedule.
Yeah.
On Monday I've got Pink. On Tuesday I've got Meet.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, on Wednesday I'm re-recording the drums for a band that have got a drummer that, you know, this isn't going to be spoke about, that kind of thing. It was oh man.
Yeah.
And I guess Wimbish and Tishi are the same. They're all doing different sessions at different times for different acts, aren't they?
Well, I was fortunate enough to get Brian at the time because he was working with George Lynch. He was recording that album and he was supposed to go and tour it, but obviously COVID shut everything down. So it was kind of like now or never sort of thing to get Brian.
Yeah.
See, like working with other musicians previously, I didn't want to use anyone that I know, like that was at local reach. I wanted something completely different. I want different players on it, just so you could have like a different sound as well. I mean, obviously playing with like Mel, former drummer from Simple Minds, Mel Gaynor. I mean, working with him over the years was just a great experience, and just working with someone who's played with like everyone
and
everywhere from back in the day. I mean, I'm a football fan, and I think the one venue that really gets me is him playing the San Siro.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, even like the old Wembley, of course, for Live Aid. So it was cool, but I wanted Brian to play on it because of just what the stuff and listening to Whitesnake and hearing these ridiculous drum fills. And I think, well, he could do that on my stuff because I pre-program all my stuff here using Tune Track Superior Drummer.
Yeah.
So obviously the drums like all those ridiculous drumming, but it's not like
the drum kit from hell.
Yeah. Well, I use it's not the drum kit from hell. I don't know what they call it, but I mean, some bass players I was toying with the idea of another, which I'll tell you afterwards who I was going to use. But I mean, price wise, it just wasn't worth it for me financially, and maybe in a few years, maybe work with this bass player. But yeah, no, because that, you know, like a definite I don't care, pay me sort of vibe. It was that. So I mean,
yeah, lots of cool.
Yeah, I mean, you'll laugh when you.
Yeah, we'll get onto that off cam.
So we'll laugh off cam. Off cam, you get this on the extras on the DVD.
Yeah. When I get my Patreon page, you can have an extra bitching session per week for a small donation of 50 English pounds. Yeah, so.
Can we get like a signed picture?
Yeah,
we can do all that and a guitar pick
and a
badge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Now, so it looks like things are looking up then, dude. You know.
Yeah, hopefully, like touch wood. Yeah, working with my own schedule for once, which is nice.
Yeah.
And there's always something that I find in these songs I'm working on. It needs that. Yeah. It needs this, so which is obviously. But yeah, I'm just very, very excited, Chris, with this music. And I think a lot of people will be actually surprised in a way of this is what I can actually do rather than a minute shred clip or playing with this particular band. You just play like that. I mean, a few people have called me I'm a blues guitarist. I am not a blues guitarist. I'm not a shredder either. I like to play what I want. So to have that sort of style of sort of in the middle is where I like to keep my playing. I mean, I've got really interested into like Marty Friedman at the moment, which is funny because I discover these players too late or when the attention's not on them. Because everyone at the moment wants to play headless guitars, pedals. I don't either. I can't stand. They look stupid. But and just all these pedals that, I mean, are they going to be using that gear in 5 years? Like I've had this amp for 10. Why am I going to change my gear tone?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, this broke at a gig, so I kind of got the valves done. So then I fixed it. But, yeah, but
if it is broke, fix it.
it started smoking, and each time you had to hit the head. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I was going to say.
I'll have to send you some stuff when it's ready. I mean, I will after we record this and it's we've done the chat.
It's we'll do another chat once it's out, and we can talk about the actual EP and where people can get it from, and that when we'll do like a part 2 once it's released.
Oh, thank you. That'd be amazing. I mean, I will be doing playthrough videos. I mean, there is one on my YouTube channel. It's Angel, which will be one of the tracks. I mean, if you like shredding on a 7-string, watch that. So cool stuff.
Well, what I'll do is any links that you want to send to me, I can include them in the description below this video.
Maybe I can get some YouTube subscribers. Who knows?
Why not? We're all after those, aren't we? So
yeah,
we'll put links into your channels and to all your various links and your endorsements as well. We'll put them all in in the description, so when this goes out, people can easily access all your different channels where your music is.
Great. Thank you so much.
Oh man, it's been great catching up with you as well.
Thank you, Chris.
We've only really sort of chatted over quick messages, over Helix tips and how to fix this, how to make that sound, and blah blah blah. So you were definitely on my list when I thought of doing the sort of
thank you,
the gear podcast. But
thank you.
It's been really cool to catch up, man.
Wicked, man. Yeah, same. I've enjoyed it.
Well, like I say, links will be in the description, and from me, I'll see you guys soon. See you later, James.
Thank you, Chris. Take care, man. Take care.
You've been listening to the Beer and Gear podcast with Chris T.